Hey everyone, Dockwell here, and welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be a Morphling build for patch 7.33D, and just like in the other videos, I said before that I made a guide for every single hero in the game, for all the positions and roles that they play, even unique, different ones that you might not think about. And so I have those in-game. Try to look for them there. If you can't find them, there is a link down below that you can click subscribe on the Steam Workshop, and then they should be able to, appear for you in the game. So I know it's kind of a weird roundabout way that you have to do it. But if you do that, if you use them, give them a thumbs up. Hopefully they're able to appear then for more people. So I should be able to, update those in the future as we get new patches as well. So now let's just jump into the Morphling build. And Morphling is like the best hero right now. He's just really good. He has always been kind of this pub stompy hero that people used to smurf and stuff, but now he's really good in the pros as well and in the high MMR brackets. And that's honestly because of his Ags, which we'll talk about, but his Ags basically steals stats from people. So if there's like an agility carry, which is in almost every game, or a universal hero that's like a carry, which is in almost every single game, you could just ult them once you get Ags, and you basically take them out of the fight completely because they lose a lot of damage. You get a ton of stats, which you love on Morphling. He's a stat-based hero. And then if they're an agility carry, they lose all their attack speed, they lose a bunch of armor. It just is so good. And once you get that timing, it's very, very difficult to deal with you if you can get your ult off on the enemy carry, and you have all these abilities that now go through BKB, like your stuns and everything go through BKB to pop Lincoln. So buying Lincoln's even against the hero to prevent the morph, his ultimate from hitting you if you're a carry on the opposing team doesn't really do anything anymore. It's just very hard to deal with the hero. So he's really, really good right now. I would suggest learning him if you can. Obviously, I don't play him very much right now because he is a hard hero. I have other heroes that are like my main heroes. But if you're lower MMR, there's no harm in learning him. I kind of think I should learn him as well. But I would probably learn him in like Turbo or Unranked first because he is a high skill cap hero. So anyway, let's jump into the item build here. First, we have the starting items. This hero is a ranged hero, so you're not buying a Quelling Blade. You're going to be buying Tangos, Circlet, Magic Stick, and then Branches. And you're buying a lot of stat items, obviously, because this hero really wants his stats, because he really wants strength and agility and these kinds of things. And you generally sit on low HP, so the more stats you can have, the better. And then you're going to be having Magic Stick early, because you want to be racking up those Magic Stick charges like instantly from the start of the lane or even before the lane at the runes, because this hero, what you do is you morph all the way down, or you attribute shift all the way down to like 0 HP, and then you pop your stick, and then you basically recover like almost all of your health and mana, or not mana, but all of your health and a lot of mana as well, because you're using a lot of mana to escape and these kinds of things, and even to attribute shift now takes mana. So you're using that in the lane a lot. Like that's basically how the hero works. Is he goes in the lane, he last hits, he harasses, he gets harassed back, he backs off, he morphs all the way down, or he strength, agility shifts all the way down to like 0 HP and then shifts back up to come back to the lane. So Magic Stick is really good for that. So that's why you're also going to be building Magic Wand early. Now, maybe in a lane where nobody's casting spells, maybe you don't buy this Magic Stick and you go, another Wraithband piece, but I don't know. That almost never happens. So that's why I'm buying this Magic Stick early. Magic Wand into Wraithband, into Power Treads, pretty much every game, just standard, straightforward, pretty obvious. And then you're always going to be buying a Morbid Mask. And that's because this hero has insane base attack damage, and you want to be sitting at pretty much low-ish HP. Now, you don't want to be sitting on such low HP that you're going to die very easily, but you're sitting on low HP, you have insane attack damage. This just allows you to like jungle for free, and you just heal back up. So even if you take harass, you shift back down to a very low HP, and then you can just, right click for a ton of damage, and you're healing back up to full very, very easily. This is like what allows the hero to function in the early to mid game after the laning stage. And then you can also buy this Falcon Blade too, which I think it's kind of 50-50. I definitely put it in here because it's something you probably would like to buy just because it gives you that mana regen that you really want to use waveform more often, and you're also using a lot of mana for even shifting attributes now. So I think it's just really good to buy on the hero. It does delay your timing slightly, but this hero's so good late game. If you just secure your farm, secure your early game, it gives you some health and a little bit of damage. It gives you everything you want. So I really would like buying a Falcon Blade. But if you're having a crazy good game and you can just sit in lane and go to the jungle and you don't really feel like you're using a lot of mana, then okay, fine, you don't need to get it. You can go straight into the Manta style. But some games a lot of games I would buy that. Now, Manta Style is your default item. You're getting this every single time. Sometimes you will go S and Y, but very rarely. Mostly you just want to go Manta Style because the thing that kills this hero is like instant silences and stuns and those kinds of things that don't allow you to shift to strength and catch you off guard. So Manta is just one of those things that if someone buys Orchid, if you're against a Skywrath mage, something like this, you can just Manta Style off all those things and then all those silences and then shift if you need to, if you're getting ganked, that kind of stuff. Manta Style is just really good for that. It's also really good for split pushing, pushing waves, pushing towers, putting those Manta illusions ahead in the wave, ahead on the map, and you can farm behind them to keep yourself, give yourself some safety, which is really good. It's one of those heroes that, because he has such good attack damage, you can push waves and even towers, pressure towers, really, really well with Manta Style. So it's just like really good on the hero, way better than S and Y. And then next we go Ags. We just go straight into Ags because Ags is the item that makes this hero broken. It just is the item that is really, really good on the hero. Like I was saying before, stealing the stats and shifting or morphing into an enemy carry or enemy universal hero is just so good. It's what makes the hero broken. It's what makes Morph broken right now. And so you're going to be wanting to get this very, very early on. And yes, you don't have a lot of damage. You don't have a lot of other items, but this is just, once you hit this timing, it's very hard for the enemy carry to play. Then you can buy BKB. This makes you unkillable, like straight up unkillable. This hero is already hard to kill, but then once you have BKB, it's like impossible to kill this hero. So you can buy it, but you don't have to buy it. If you feel like you don't need it, you don't need to get it, but I just put it here because it is pretty standard. But again, if you feel like you just want stats and damage and that kind of stuff, you can totally get away with that. You can also go Linken's instead of BKB if you're scared of a Doom or something else that is like just that single target spell that's really, really messing with you. You can also go for Linken Sphere instead. So those are those items, those kind of more defensive items. And then just after that, you already are probably in a good spot if you're reaching these item timings, but Skadi gives you a little bit of everything you want. It helps you not be kited as much. I mean, this hero does have mobility. It's very hard to kite him, but it gives you more, slow. It gives you a little bit of everything you want. Damage, HP, agility. It gives you everything you want. But sometimes maybe you bought BKB. You already feel tanky enough. You're not getting kited as much, and maybe you bought Linken's, which also gives you a lot of stats and stuff. And you just want damage now. And you go straight Daedalus, which just increases your damage a ton, or Butterfly if you want a lot of damage, but you don't necessarily need the tankiness from stats. You just need some evasion because you're like man fighting people or you're getting right-clicked a lot. And this can just, it's a little bit of everything you want as well. And even late game, you could get all of these items if you need to, because this hero doesn't farm super quickly, but if you get to all these items, you get like these late game timing where you have all these items, you're just going to be winning the game because you're so hard to kill, and you just do insane amounts of damage, and you're taking the stats of the enemy carry. So it's just like you scale so well. It's insane. Hey guys, just to break in here, I forgot to add the Aghanim Shard to the situational items, and just to let you know what it does, it basically allows you to attribute shift while you're stunned. And so I think this is situational because there are certain heroes like Faceless Void and stuff that you definitely need to buy this against. But also it's one of these items that you don't necessarily need if you're good at Morphling. Now you can use it as like a crutch if you're learning the hero, but it's one of those things where it's probably better to not just like default buy it every game as soon as you can, because although it makes you harder to kill, it'd be better to learn how to play the hero without it if you can get away with it. So it's one of those things that you can buy it if you need to, or if you're learning the hero, but ideally you wouldn't have to have it unless there's a lot of stones that you really do need to morph. And it is really good, so you are going to get it probably late game, once you do have all the items. But these other item timings and making sure you're playing with your limits without having that shard, because, again, who knows, they might change it anyway in the future. It'll always be good to learn the hero without this kind of crutch. But against certain heroes, like I said, like Faceless Void, you're going to absolutely need it. So that's the shard, which is also a situational item. Then for situational items, Hurricane Pike every once in a while, very rarely. Nullifier if you really need it against Ghost Scepters, but again, not super common. MKB, obviously, if they have evasion. Silver Edge if you need a break, but very rarely do you buy this. I mean, sometimes it's good to have Invis and that kind of thing, but still, it's almost better just to buy one of these. Revenant's Brooch if you have heroes on the enemy team that have insane armor or something, because you can buy Nullifier, but this just helps you hit them with like magic damage. So if they have like low-ish HP, but just like low armor or very high armor, buying this can sometimes be good. It's very rare though. Again, S and Y sometimes instead of Manta, but that's rare. And then You can finish your Morbid Mask into Satanic, but sometimes once you get the late game where you have all these items, or you get like a neutral item that has lifesteal, sometimes you don't need it, but it can be good. It is a very good item. It's probably more standard than some of these other items, but a lot of times you'll just be able to get away with getting one of these. And then Mjolnir occasionally, but very rarely. And then Divine Rapier, honestly. It's like a last item. If you're already so unkillable and you get to this point, why not just buy it? Because you can really just dominate games with it. So that is the Morphling build for the items. And now we're going to go into the skills. It's pretty straightforward. You're always going to be getting Attribute Shift early. Because that's the thing that like allows you to lane. And then honestly, you get your Adaptive Strike pretty early as well, because this allows you to basically secure last hits. Now you can get Waveform level 2, level 3. You want to get Waveform whenever you feel like you need it. But if you don't feel like you need Waveform, you don't have to get it. So you can delay it to level 4. Then you definitely want to max this out because Waveform is very good for farming. You don't necessarily farm very well with Adaptive Strike. You just kind of farm through right clicks, but Waveform is the other spell that you're using to right click. It's also your mobility spell to get from camp to camp, to escape, that kind of thing. So you do want to max this out. It's just that Adaptive Strike is good for lasting, for harassing, so getting a point or two in that is very good. And then you delay Morph, because early on Morph really isn't that great. So, you know, you're maxing out your Waveform, you're maxing out your Adaptive Strike, and really the Attribute Shift doesn't get, in the past you would max this out, but now it doesn't really, like if you read this the spell, it doesn't really improve all that much with more levels. And you're just going to be farming and that kind of stuff. You're just going to try to hit your timing. So maxing this out last is really not that big of a deal. And then you get Morph. After you do get it level 11, like you want to max these abilities out, but then you can get these Morph talents, because at that time you might participate in some fights. So it could be good to Morph into the enemy. And about that time, you know, you might be getting close to your Ags if you have a very good game, so it makes sense to get these then, and then you're going to get your talents every time you can. And then we can look at the talents here. We can see Waveform range, because Waveform is very, very good. You don't really need the magic resistance. It's good, but Waveform is way better, especially because later at level 20, you get Waveform attacks targets, which is really good. Helps you farm, but also just adds that little extra bit of attack that you get from just initiating in with your Waveform. It can be very good, insanely good for farming. You can just like Waveform a creep wave, and it just like instantly dies. Morph duration is obviously really good at level 15, because Ags is the thing that makes this hero broken. So increasing the duration there just is like so punishing for the enemy. And then Waveform cooldown is really, really good, because you have this attack, you have this range, and it attacks now, and now you just like you're using it a ton of times, like all the time. I mean, it's already 12 seconds and then 40%. I mean, what is that? I don't even know. It's like what, 6? It's not 6. It's 6 or 7 seconds, like 7-second cooldown now. I don't know. I can't do the math in my head in 2 seconds under pressure. I'm like panicking. I'm like, oh, what's the math? But yeah, it's like 7 seconds, 6 and 7 seconds cooldown, which is insane. You're just going in, you're attacking people for a little bit, and then the Waveform is back up. Strength is good, but Waveform is probably way better for the mobility and everything that you need it for. So that's the talent tree. That's the build. That's the item build and the skill build for Morph in patch 7.33D. As always, guys, like, comment, subscribe, all those kinds of things. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.